What's up, Kansas people? I am a graduate of the University of Kansas. I just spent the past year and a half at the University of Kansas during the pandemic, and I also spent the first half of my time at KU in normal times. So I have a pretty well-rounded view of what's to come for you all who might be going to KU in the future. I'm sure most people who are watching this video probably haven't seen my channel before. So if you haven't seen my videos before, my name is Grace. It is wonderful to meet you. I make videos here about twice a week, mostly once a week, but I've been trying to do this twice a week thing, so we'll see how that goes. But I make videos mostly about Disney. I also make videos about travel. I have a Bookish channel, and I'm going to start making more Bookish recommendation videos here. But just overall lifestyle and travel.
The occasional singing video, the occasional witchy video. I like tarot cards.
I'm trying to merge my two YouTube channels that I've had forever. Point is, if you like any of that type of stuff, definitely subscribe and stick around for more videos, but if not, I totally get it. You might just want to hear about KU, and if you want to hear anything more about KU, definitely leave me a comment down below and I'll make a Q&A or something about it. But let's get into just different things about going to KU and what it was like for me. There's not a lot of videos on the internet about KU, and for me personally, I've grown up in Kansas my whole life. It's not something I talk about very much on my YouTube channel. Anyway, my experience at KU is going to be a bit different from everybody else's who's been at KU, so I'm just sharing my perspective. And the fact that I've grown up in Kansas all my life, I think, you know, plays a big part in my experiences at KU. I'm gonna break this down into different categories. First, I'm gonna talk about education and you know, that field of things. I'm going to specifically talk about my major, which is journalism. The J School at KU is really awesome, but I'll keep that brief since some of you guys might have a totally different major. I'll go over some different common majors, especially common majors at KU, in case you're trying to pick a major, and just overall what gen eds are like, advising, that type of thing. And then I will go into social life, including Greek life. I was in that for a short period, and just what the culture is like at KU. So the first thing you should know is that KU has the most beautiful campus. If you've never been on it before, it is absolutely stunning. It's what draws a lot of the outer towners to our school is KU basketball and the beautiful campus. And if you are going to KU and you're doing your first year, the buildings that you'll probably spend a lot of time in is Wesco, Strong Hall, and Budig. Of course, there's other pretty common buildings you might be entering, but these are the main gen eds. Oh, and also Fraser as well. We got two libraries. We've got Watson and Anschutz. You will get on a team. You'll like one library better than the other. It's just gonna happen. And you know, I used both. I liked both, but my preference was definitely Watson, and most people would say they like Anschutz better in my experience. This isn't going to be like a breakdown of what class requirements you need. You can definitely find that on KU's website. All the classes that you're required to take is definitely going to depend on your major, what prerequisites or AP classes you might have taken in high school. You might be able to skip certain core classes, but you can find all this information on the KU website. But a piece of advice I would give myself regarding what classes to choose is to definitely get gen eds more out of the way, and also exploratory classes if you're not sure which major you're going to be doing. And by exploratory classes, I mean if you have a certain major in mind, and don't worry, I'll go over really common majors, taking the first class in that major is going to be helpful for you to see whether you like it or not. The caveat to this is the first class isn't always a overall best example of the whole major, but at least it'll give you a little bit of an idea. Something that's really nice about KU and just classes in general is that, especially now with remote classes, you go into class, they treat you like adults. It's not like high school where they're nagging you all the time, and you're there for an hour to 2 hours. Most of your classes are going to be 50 minutes, especially if you're taking gen eds the first semester. and you go home and you do your work, and you have a lot more time, even though you'll have a lot more homework than you might have in high school, or maybe not, depending on your major. But you'll have a lot more time to do that homework. I would definitely suggest trying to get Fridays off. This is what a lot of people at KU try to do, especially if you are more of an upperclassman, or you've been going to KU for a bit and have gotten things out of the way, or maybe you went to JUCO or a similar community college, that you got some prerequisites out of the way. Getting Fridays off is something that a lot of people try to do. Also, trying to get classes earlier in the day and next to each other, in my opinion, is better. I always gave myself a little lunch break if I could when I build my schedule, just to get some homework done, that type of thing. But if you can, try to pick some good class times, and also look up all of your professors on Rate My Professor. A lot of KU professors have ratings on there, and your professor is going to make a huge difference in how the class goes, trust me, and I'm sure you already know that as a high school student. For me, I loved my first semester. The classes were so different from high school, like, let me tell you. I'm trying to even think back to what high school was like. It was just different, you know? And it's really nice. Like, I wouldn't be too scared. Definitely certain majors more than others are going to be a lot more difficult, and it's something that it's a lot of pressure to pick a major, but don't worry if you have to switch your major. I definitely did 3 times and it was fine. Most people switch their majors at least once. If you pick a major, let's just talk about majors now. If you pick a major that you don't like, just know that you're not married to it. Also know that even if you graduate with that major, you don't have to get a profession that has to do with that major. It definitely helps, you know, but just having a degree is going to set you apart, even if you don't think it is. Having a degree is, you know, going to be really helpful for you, and it doesn't mean that you have to be in the industry that your major is in. Just make sure you get some internships in that industry, or work experience in some other way in that industry. So don't stress too much about that, but definitely explore a little bit, especially your first year. Things are going to change, and just go into it knowing that and allow that, and maybe you're going into it knowing exactly what your major is. With most majors, you'll have the major and then certain tracks within the major that you can choose. So that's really helpful to know, because if you're a business major, you might want to focus on finance or accounting or marketing. There's lots of different things you can do within that. So you're not only going to be exploring your major, but you're going to be exploring which path on that major you want to take and what's going to be most helpful and versatile for you. If I can give you some advice, it would be to pick something that is versatile. If you don't know, if you're someone who knows that you want to go to nursing school, KU has an amazing nursing program, by the way, or you know that you want to go into engineering or X, Y, and Z, and that's wonderful. But if you're not really sure, you can always go into a major that's a bit more general, that you could use for a variety of things, like business, like journalism, like psychology. These things are more general. So I'm definitely gonna miss a few majors on here, but just after going to KU for 4 years, this is what a lot of the majors I hear about. There's so many that you can choose from, and you can find that on the KU website. But here's some major ones to be aware of if you're unsure. First is journalism. Yes, we've got psychology, engineering, mathematics, business, we've got graphic design, exercise science, more educational ones like English or history, or biology, geology, just education major. I came in as an elementary education major. Political science, you could go into law school, architecture. You might come in as an athlete or a performer. You might be a theater major, or you know, whatever your sport is, a dance major. There is music something major. Then we've got all the doctor type of majors. So we've got the KU nursing program. I'm not very aware of all the different types of majors that you'd have to be a doctor, but you can find it on the KU website. These are just a few majors that just come to mind when I think of majors at KU and majors in general. There's probably so many that I missed, and there's so many that you can explore, but I hope just me listing a few really common ones off, I hope you gravitated towards one or the other and have some idea of what you're interested in. If you are a psychology major, you might want to end up in marketing, and you can use your psychology skills there. If you are a business major, you might be an entrepreneur or a million other things. Oh my gosh. My advice to you is to get those gen eds out of the way. Don't be afraid to click undecided, and if you are really set on a certain major, just know that you might go into it and completely change your mind. And you know what? It's normal. It's okay. You don't have to decide your whole life right now. I know it feels like it, but you will be okay. So just some general college tips, and then we'll move on from the education portion of this video, is to realize that college is going to work differently with your assignments and your tests and your exams, everything like that. You will get a syllabus at the beginning of the semester, and I know that maybe when you're in high school the syllabus wasn't quite as important, but a lot of times in college, especially at KU in my experience, the syllabus is your Bible for the whole class. You will be expected to refer back to it constantly, especially with the schedule of the class, with certain assignments. There'll be descriptions of assignments on the syllabus. It's super important, and it's not like you have to actually read the syllabus like the first day or anything like that. It's just that you have to be aware that you will use it a lot throughout your whole classes. A lot of times I did not use my textbooks unless I was writing a paper and I needed a quote. So that kind of sucks, and that's just something that's sucks about college, is you will be forced to buy these textbooks and you might not even use them. So just depends on the class, and I always do recommend buying them, but buying like the Kindle version, a lot of times it's a little bit cheaper, and you never know when you will actually have to use them, and it depends on your major. So your assignments are going to work differently. You're going to get the schedule way ahead of time, and it's easy to, get an assignment on Monday and it's not due till Wednesday, so you're just going to save it for Tuesday. But then you're going to go to your opposite classes that are on Tuesday, Thursdays, and get a bunch of assignments then. So I definitely recommend doing things as soon as you're assigned them, but that's also just how I was as a student. I didn't like to procrastinate. The earlier you get stuff done, the more flexibility and freedom you'll have, and you'll never know what kind of assignment you might be getting next. So I just recommend doing things as soon as possible. I promise you it'll be so much easier, but that doesn't work for everybody, and you know yourself best, so just find a system that works for you. Let's talk about journalism for just a little second. So you can do 2 different tracks on the journalism major. You can do strategic communications or news and info. I personally did strategic communications. I had a minor in English. At one point I switched my major to English, and I had a minor in journalism, but I ended up switching those to give me more versatility. Journalism is wonderful because it does give you a lot of versatility. In my experience, journalism, just at least the classes that I took, they really do encourage you to do things outside of class, to get internships, to join the newspaper, to join just the broadcast, just different things. And the workload is not nearly as intense as other majors are. And this was something that was a good decision for me because I ended up doing a lot outside of school throughout my whole college career that really helped me on my path and what I am doing now. So this isn't a guarantee. There are definitely some really hard journalism classes. Some of the ones that came to mind are media law and Infomania. Those 2 classes really killed me. But to be honest, my English classes were always a lot harder than my journalism classes, and also my language classes were always the hardest ones. As a journalism major, you are required to take 4 semesters of language unless you have some sort of pre-AP credits from high school. I think you might even be able to test out of it if you are really fluent in a certain language. You might be able to test out of that. But, you know, as a communications kind of person, they want you to explore other languages and learn other languages. And I'm really happy that they did, because I really did enjoy my French classes that I took. And I also took Italian. Okay, guys, so what was it like, you know, the social environment, the culture, Greek life, after school activities, all these types of things? Let's get into it. Let's start with Greek life. I really enjoyed my experience with sorority, but it wasn't for me in the end. It really wasn't a big part of my college experience. I do think that if you're not in Greek life, you might have a very negative view of Greek life at KU. I'm sorry, guys. I know that they're really particular about reputation in Greek life, but I just think that that's what I've experienced. You know, recruitment is interesting. I'm so happy I did it though, because it was one of the most interesting experiences of my life. Some people absolutely love it. I met a lot of friends through it. If anything, it's just a way to meet people. You don't even have to join a sorority. You can just go through recruitment, meet a bunch of people, and make a bunch of friends, and then peace out. It is expensive, and college is already expensive, and KU is a state school that is expensive. So, that's one of the reasons that I didn't think it was worth it for me. It was a big time commitment. I wasn't a fan of the recruitment process, at least for sororities. And fraternities are a whole nother topic. Sororities are a wonderful way to meet people and make friends. I knew a lot of really wonderful guys who were in fraternities that were great people, and that's something that sucks about being in a sorority or a fraternity, is people might judge you and think that you are, you know, just not a nice person if they know that you're in one. And that sucks. And that's part of the reason that I personally dropped as well. But anyway, fraternities definitely haze a lot at KU. We all know it. This is the facts. They just do, and it's mostly has to do with drinking. It mostly has to do with alcohol. But there's also some fraternities that are way worse than others, and things that I have no idea what they do. I just hear that it's horrible. So just be aware of that. If you're introverted, if you like having time to yourself, you will have to live in the sorority house or the fraternity house, and it is very busy. However, I just listed a bunch of cons to it. Let me also say that it is a wonderful way to meet so many wonderful people, to get volunteering experiences. A lot of these sororities, especially the fraternities as well, but the sororities really focus on the volunteering aspect of Greek life, and you have a required amount of community service that you need every semester, so it encourages you to make that a priority. And it also, each sorority has one particular local nonprofit that they support. I don't know if they're all local. I won't say which sorority I was in, but I did enjoy my time there. I met really good friends there, and I'm really glad that I did it, but I'm also really glad that I dropped when I did. So I really think that giving it a try, if it's something you're interested in, you know, you definitely should, and you can always drop out of it. And if you want to wait, you can always go through recruitment later, and that's fine as well. But let me tell you, Greek life at KU is really big. At some colleges, it's not as big of a deal, but it is a big deal at KU. And it has definitely taken a big hit during the pandemic, let me tell you. I've heard crazy stories from my friends about, you know, how many changes have been made from it. It's crazy. So that's something to take into consideration, and it's not what it once was, and it'll get back to, you know, normal someday, we can hope, but I think it's definitely a lot different than it was when I participated in it, because I don't have any experience being in it during COVID because I had dropped at that point. Okay, so next I'm going to talk a little bit about KU basketball. This is such a big deal at KU, I cannot even tell you. Allen Fieldhouse is truly a magical place to exist. I am not a big sports person. I'm not a big basketball person. I never have been into a lot of those, and I love KU basketball. It is so, I've never felt like more of a Jayhawk than when I'm standing in the student section you know, singing with my fellow students, chanting, and just watching those games. It is so much fun. I highly recommend going to the basketball games. Like, it's a big part of KU. I don't know a ton about it, like I said, because I'm not a huge sports person. All I can tell you is that it's magical, and I love it, and it's a big part of being a Jayhawk. There's other really awesome sports to watch as well, or to be involved in. There is so many student activities that you can get involved in. A few clubs that I did that were pretty small were the KU Writing Workshop, the Hammock Club. I almost did the Adventure Club, but I didn't end up doing that. My boyfriend Isaac was in that, but I hadn't met him at that point. I was in film club. I did a few acting classes, and I heard constantly about different plays that they would be doing. And that was really fun. There's a lot of sports you can be involved in. There's a lot of performance things you can be involved in. You can do cheerleading or dance team. Definitely get involved. This is how you meet people. I know everyone says it, but it's so true. Some small clubs, though, to be honest, are really not very involved. Like some ones that I were in were just, people didn't really set things up, or you know, we would have meetings and there wasn't a lot of socialization. So you know, there's going to be some clubs that you join that might not help you meet people as easily as you might think, and I'm saying this in full transparency, you know, but you can always be that person to encourage people to be more involved in that club and get more people on board, and that's what everyone ultimately wants. But there's other clubs that are like super involved and you'll meet a ton of people through them. The partying culture at KU is an interesting one. Before COVID especially, everyone went out to certain bars. Some of the most famous ones are the Hawk, the Wheel, the Bull, the Cave, Brothers. There's a new one that just opened up that I don't remember what it's called. The Cave was closed from COVID. So sad. A lot of times people now will just go out to restaurants and, you know, get some drinks at restaurants. It's a little bit more safe. Definitely right now with COVID, people at the bars do not, you know, social distance or wear their masks. I definitely tried to avoid the bars during COVID just because I didn't feel like it was very safe, but as COVID regulations are being lifted and we're getting a little bit back to normal, hopefully you guys will be able to enjoy that, because personally for me, I really liked to, you know, have a nice party. I wasn't super into it like some people are, but I thought it was a fun experience during college, as long as it doesn't, you know, interfere with your studying or your life in a negative way. I think it's a great thing to experience in college, and it's a way to meet new people and have fun. And you know, if you're not into it, there's plenty other things you can do. Do not feel socially pressured into this. But it is something that a lot of people at KU are really into, and I think it's something to be aware of, especially if you're coming from high school and you might not be exposed to a lot of that. That is something that you will be exposed to just in any college, really, and it's something to know, and to know what you're comfortable with, and to know that everything is okay, and to be empowered in those decisions that you make. Personally, I really enjoyed having some good parties, going out with friends, and I enjoy drinking and all of that, but it's something that I didn't do super often. Let's talk a little bit more about COVID and what that was like. This is something that you may or may not have to deal with or experience, but I personally loved online classes. It made things a lot easier not having to transport yourself to class constantly. It forced classes to give an option for Zoom for people who might not live close, or just any other reason that you might need to go online. I think it's great overall for student mental health to have that option. I did deeply miss, though, the look of campus with so many people around. That that was really sad the first time I went onto campus during COVID. And just seeing how everyone was just kind of afraid of each other almost, and really just unsure of what to expect, and you know, just really far away from each other. It felt completely different. I do think going on to campus now, especially as we got more used to the pandemic, I mean, when we first had to deal with it, it was way scarier and people didn't know what to expect, but now people kind of know how to keep themselves safe. They know what to expect, and regulations are being lifted. It's getting back to normal, and that's wonderful. But I think something that we as KU students and as people of the world can be grateful for about this horrible time is just the opportunity to either work from home or study from home that might have not been there before. And hopefully this is something that will be an option that's carried into the future for individuals who it works better for. And it definitely saved me a lot of time. Transportation time was huge, taking those buses, walking up and down campus. I mean, those hills on KU, oh my gosh, I had calves of steel while I was walking constantly around everywhere. But, you know, that time save has been huge. It has made my workload a lot easier, a lot more. It just saves me a lot of time. And, you know, while I'm listening to a lecture, I could fold my laundry or eat lunch or whatever else. It just was extremely helpful for me. And, although I really missed going onto campus, and when I did have to go onto campus, it was a little bit scary and just kind of sad. I am grateful that the future students of KU might have the option to Zoom in on their classes, and I think that's wonderful. I don't know what the future holds for you guys, if they'll make certain classes mandatory to come in again. I don't know. And we will have to see how it goes in the future, but I am hopeful that you guys will have that option in the future. I think KU did a great job, or as good of a job as they could do, at you know, helping enforce COVID regulations. I mean, we had this little app that we would scan before we go into buildings to help track you know, whether or not you've been exposed to someone who has COVID-19. They offer free testing for students, at least they did the year that you know, 2020 and the spring of 2021, and staff as well. They offer vaccinations. They enforced social distancing with certain markers on where you could sit and where you couldn't during class, and how much capacity to have in certain rooms for each class. They had hand sanitizer stations. They, you know, they did everything they could. They had mask mandates. So I felt like they did a good job with that, and that was my personal experience. Some people might disagree with me. I think some of the reasons I personally chose KU was just the reputation that it had for being such a good school. So many people, you know, growing up in Kansas want to go to KU. There's a pretty big rivalry with K-State as well as Mizzou, but I knew that KU was right for me, and I knew it was a good school. There's some other wonderful schools in Kansas to look at, such as Drake or Baker University, or community college such as JUCO. There's a lot of options, but KU just felt right for me, and I knew it was right for me. And I think having a campus visit will be helpful to you. Also, you get an advisor, and when you first get to KU, you'll get a general advisor assigned to you, and this will be the person who helps you build your schedule and make sure all your core classes get in. I didn't have always the best experiences with my advisor. There's only so much that they can tell you and that they know, because there's so much to know about KU. For example, when I wanted to do the DCP, they had no idea what that was, or whether KU could transfer the credit of my DCP as an internship, so that was a bummer. But, you know, you can't always expect them to know everything. Just go to them, especially for scheduling reasons. And if you don't like your advisor, you can always try to find another one and just keep looking until you find one that you like, because it is worth it to have someone that you feel comfortable asking questions to. But pretty much all of them, what they're going to be best for is helping you build your schedule and tell you which credits you need to graduate, especially at the end. After your first initial year or two at KU, you will get a major specific advisor who specifies in your major and what requirements you need, and that's extremely helpful as well. But like I said, you can't expect your advisor to know everything, and I had some good experiences, some bad experiences, but I think they do a pretty good job overall. It's just you can't expect too much of them, you know what I mean? Make sure you guys check out some of my other videos. I think this video is a very unique one on this channel, so you know, take a look around, see if we have any of the similar interests, and if you want to stick around for my other videos, then you can subscribe and turn on the little bell, and that will give you notifications for when new videos come out. If I know you from high school or from growing up, hey, what's up? I was a pretty shy person in high school, and I was pretty embarrassed of my YouTube channel for a while because I did not like the idea of random people who knew me from school watching my videos, but I really don't care now. Like, you're either gonna like me or judge me or not, so take a look around. If we have any of the similar interests, you can subscribe. If not, peace out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful time at KU if you're going soon, and if you are currently a Jayhawk, rock chalk, guys. And if you are a normal subscriber of this channel, regularly scheduled content will be coming soon. This is just a video I really wanted to make about my school as I graduated, but I'm so excited to talk more about Disney and my trip to Maui coming up, and books and different things that I love, so that is coming very soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye!